What if you took Forbidden Chalice, Forbidden Droplet, Forbidden Lance, Forbidden Dress, Sky Striker Mecha, Eagle Booster, and Rescue Ace Contain and combined them all into one card? Well, this is what Konami just did. This new card is called Forbidden Crown. It is a new quick play spell from the Forbidden family. And today we'll talk about, is the hype around it actually worth it? And believe me, this card is extremely hyped. Forbidden Crown is going to be a new card from the set Burst Protocol, and this is what it says. Neither player can activate monster effects in response to this card's activation. Apply these effects to one face-up monster on the field until the end of this turn. Its effects are negated, it cannot attack, it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects, it is unaffected by other cards' activated effects except its own, it cannot be tributed, it cannot be used as material for a fusion, synchro, exceed, or link summon, and you can only activate one Forbidden Crown per turn. This is a lot of effects. If you remember when Triple Tactics Talon was released, it combined 3 forbidden cards into one card, being Change of Heart, Pot of Greed, and the Forceful Sentry. But this card does a lot more. Or that's at least how it seems at first. A few things to note about this card because Yu-Gi-Oh players cannot read. You don't choose the effect to apply, you apply all of the effects at once. If you could actually choose one of these effects, that would be extremely broken and I probably wouldn't have made this video, but you need to apply all of them, which means that while you're giving a monster negation status or unaffected status, you're also making it unable to be destroyed by card effects, which is a protective effect. Second, this card does not target. It is a quick play spell, and like Forbidden Droplet, it just applies the effect on resolution. Which means that cards cannot really dodge it, and if they do, the other card that comes back in its place will be struck by this incredible, or seemingly incredible effect. And lastly, this card being a forbidden card, or rather a forbidden quick play spell card, is searchable by Dark Lords and Condemned Witch. And the new card, Dark World Golgotha, is actually able to be sent with Branded Fusion to just search this card from the deck. Or through the normal Dark Lord combo, but check out my Dark Lord videos for that. This card is being released in Burst Protocol alongside the new Dark Lord support, which makes a lot of sense to release a new forbidden quick play spell that they can search. But we have to ask the question, is this card actually good? Or are people just misunderstanding it? Let's break it down into a few actual gameplay scenarios so we can analyze whether this card is good or not. First of all, how good is it going first? So, obviously, you can set this card going first. This might be one of the best uses for this card, but ultimately just turns into a Rescue Ace Contain. It's like Book of Moon, where you negate the monster, but you also make it unusable to your opponent. But most of the time, or rather probably all of the time, it will still be there on the board next turn. So very similar to Contain Book of Moon, you just freeze that monster in time until the next turn. Not great, not terrible.
3.6. Not great, not terrible.
Of course, it doesn't target, so your opponent can't really dodge it, and they can't respond to it with monster effects. So you will guarantee that negation, and you will guarantee that contain status that doesn't allow it to be tributed or is used as material. But at the end of the day, it's droplet without a cost for one monster, isn't it? You can negate a monster, you can stick it to your opponent's board and just leave it there. Obviously, it's much more versatile because you can use it first and second, but still, is this scenario something that you would want to play this card in? Going first, you can also protect your monsters. Getting hit with a Nibiru when you want to make sure one end word piece ends up sticking, you can chain Forbidden Crown to turn it unaffected and make sure it's protected until the next turn. Of course, then you have to turn off its effects and you can't actually extend with it if you want to, because you can't tribute it or use it as material for any type of summon. This is essentially one-for-one protection, similar to Sky Striker Mecha Eagle Booster, but you can do that in the main monster zone now. So, I guess it's okay as protection. And again, this use case seems very niche, and I would rather just play cards that punish my opponent for nibbing me, or just play better into Nibiru in general. Another interesting thing to note about the unaffected part of this effect is that, while it turns the monster unaffected by other cards' effect except its own, it also negates its own effect, which I'm not really sure what they meant there. But these are the use cases for this card going first. Setting it, using it as a Book of Moon or a Contain or just an Imperm, with no real cost or drawback, and it doesn't target and your opponent can't actually respond to it. But it also has a lot of downsides to it. Let's look at the other use case of this card, which is going second. How do you use it when you're trying to break a board? And is it actually good? Let's take a standard protect the boss end board scenario. For example, Ryziel. You're facing a detonator with like 3 or 4 materials, a Ryziel crossed, probably some hand traps, maybe Mitsurugi cards, other rank 4s. You know the deal. You are going to start breaking this board. Which card would you rather have in your hand? Is it Infinite Impermanence, Forbidden Droplet, Forbidden Chalice? Is it even Metaltronus with the right type of target in your deck? Or would you rather have Forbidden Crown? If you need to out the detonator in order to play, you can activate Forbidden Crown and apply all of these effects to it. And essentially that detonator is just frozen in time on the board until the next turn. You have no way of outing it, and it will just stay there, negated, staring at you. It is a cool concept, I gotta say. Freezing a card in time, pretty cool. But this detonator is something you will have to deal with in the next turn. But if the detonator is the single biggest threat on the board that is actually preventing you from building your own board, maybe it's worth it to freeze it in time and keep it for the next turn where you can actually have a board to out it. So essentially it kind of presses pause on the game. The problem is that usually these types of boards are backed up by other hand traps, other engines, other cards on the field. Outing the one monster, especially in this scenario with Detonator, could have done with Infinite Impermanence, Forbidden Droplet, or even Forbidden Chalice. Or better yet, during Malice Ryziel format, Metaltronus to just banish that card face down. Is it worth activating Forbidden Crown on? Rather, is it worth even playing Forbidden Crown in this type of scenario? Let's take another scenario that came back on Twitter a lot when I was talking about this card. You're facing a Yummy board, and you're going second. Standard Yummy stuff, your opponent has a Yummy Snatchy, Yummy Cookie Way, and a Herald of the Arclight. They also have probably a couple of face-down cards, like Yummy Surprise and Dominus Purge, maybe a hand trap in their hand, maybe a Croaky, the field spell that can pop. This is a pretty standard Yummy board that you're gonna have to deal with. What does Forbidden Crown actually do in this scenario? Do you crown the Snatchy? Do you crown the Cookie Way? Do you crown the Herald? Obviously they can't respond and it doesn't target, so it's definitely not bad. But each of these targets are still a 1-for-1 negation that trades with Forbidden Crown. And as we've said before, this monster will stay on the field for the next turn. Now, the argument that really pissed me off during talking about this on Twitter was that people were saying, yeah, you can crown the Snatchy and then attack into it multiple times with monsters because it doesn't get destroyed by battle, it's only 600 attack, and your opponent still takes damage even after Forbidden Crown. Do you guys think Yummy boards consist of just one Snatchy? They have multiple other interruptions to interrupt you from doing that. This is not an argument for playing Forbidden Crown, guys. Sure, this might be a good argument for playing Forbidden Crown in general, for decks like Yubel, Pearly, maybe even frickin' Bird Up, but come on, is this the only good use case where Forbidden Crown is better than every other of those board breakers? Is this the actual selling point of this card? I think that, considering this card might be a very expensive secret rare, you have to really take note of what are the actual use cases. With all that said, I'm really looking forward to this card being printed and actually being able to play it in a consistent strategy like Dark Lords that can actually fetch it from the deck. It is lore accurate, which you know I always love. However, currently I'm having a hard time seeing how this can replace some of the board breakers we're already playing today. Imperm, Droplet, Metaltronus are all designed with similar goals in mind, where Metaltronus is probably the closest one to take out a 1-for-1 interruption and deal with it directly, and allowing you to choose if you want the advantage of getting an extra body and negation or just getting rid of the card for good. I might be wrong, but I think eventually some decks are going to play this card, but it's important to imagine yourself playing the game with this card in order to make the judgment on whether it's actually worth the hype. And this is where you come in. Let me know in the comments below what you think about Forbidden Crown. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.